Hi everyone, it's Will, and I'm here with a tarot reading. And today we're going to ask and answer the question, what's your next romantic relationship going to be like? I've chosen 3 decks and pulled the major arcana from each of these decks. We're going to shuffle them and pull out a card to represent each reading. We'll start with Mr. Friborg's Tarocchi deck. I'd like you to center, breathe, and think about your current situation regarding your love life and choose the card that best aligns with where you see yourself now. And I've been shuffling these, but actually, I want to get some smoke on them before we pull. So let me just burn some Palo Santo for the candle. The second deck I have here is the Ethereal Visions Tarot, the Luna edition. And the third one we'll use is the Ancient Italian Tarot. Okay, let's just get some smoke on these. Palo Santo. Okay. So, our first significator for Mr. Friborg's Tarocchi deck is it's the devil. Number 15, the devil, everyone. So, couple things. One, maybe you're feeling manipulated or you were manipulated in a previous relationship. Maybe you're feeling like stuck, like you've got a chain around your neck and you can't move forward. Or it's also possible with this card, you're just looking for something fiery, fun, sexy, that will let you break free and do things maybe you've never done before. All of that would be encapsulated in the devil. All right, group 2, we've got the Ethereal Visions Tarot Luna edition. There are a couple of extra major arcana cards in this deck, and it's a new deck for me, so we'll see if they pop up today. I'm curious to see if they do. Strength. So, if you feel like you are learning how to step outside your shell, get outside your shell, how to be more yourself around people, be more confident around people, like maybe you're thinking of asking someone out, that would be appropriate for someone who were to choose the strength card. Maybe you feel like you want to take a risk, that would be the strength card too. Okay, and finally with the Ancient Italian Tarot for group 3. Temperance. This is about combining opposites, synthesis. Maybe you're in a position where you were hurt in a previous relationship and you're hurting and it's time to heal. This would be temperance. Or this card can also be about fixing something from the past. Maybe there's an old flame you want to rekindle. Maybe there's someone from the past that you're trying to fix things with. Or it could be more like moving on and healing from something in the past as well. Those would all fit with temperance as your card. So I want you to choose a card now. The devil, strength, or temperance. notes, and you will find the timestamps below. I will see you in your reading. Hello, Group 1, and welcome to your reading. You chose the Devil as your significator from Mr. Friborg's Tarocchi deck. I've shuffled the deck quite thoroughly here, and now I'm going to shuffle it a little more while we think about the question and why you might have chosen the Devil as your card today. So the question, of course, is what can you expect from your next romantic relationship? Maybe we'll get into how it starts, what this person is like, all of that stuff. We'll see what the cards say. Because you chose the Devil, it makes me think of a couple things. One, the Devil looks at the ordinary, conventional, traditional world around them and says, nope, just mocks it, laughs at it, says, I'm going to do things differently than you all. I'm not going to follow your rules. I'm not going to even play by the rules necessarily. And that can be a lot of fun. It can be very exciting. It can also be dangerous. So maybe you are an unconventional kind of person. That wouldn't surprise me at all, given that you're here watching this video. That's one thing we could think about with the Devil. The Devil also is the kind of card that is about satisfying desires, right? Satisfying desires. And again, that can be very exciting and fun. The Devil is often about fun. What I think people have to be careful about with this card is thinking that satisfying desires is the only thing that exists in the world or that is worthwhile in the world, as opposed to helping others, understanding that making sacrifices can often result in things feeling even more valuable in the long run than satisfying impulses and immediate desires for satisfaction. Or spiritual pursuits as well, right? Like the Devil is not going to help you, reach a higher self if that's your thing, or be spiritual, or grow as a person, or any of that stuff. So, all right, let's cut these cards and let's lay a bunch of them out. I'm just going to put the Devil underneath the spread, and so we'll know that the Devil is down there. And if we need to pull it out again, we will pull it out again. Whoops, I knocked over my spell bottle. Okay. Let's see what we get with all of these cards. So, your next romantic relationship, 7 of Cups, starts us off. There could be a fantasy here, right? Which can be a great way to start a relationship as long as it doesn't overpower everything else, right? I often think that there's an element of fantasy uh, when we start a new relationship, right? We think it's going to be a certain way, but it turns out what we're seeing are clouds and reflection and a screen, and maybe we're projecting some of our own ideas about this other person rather than seeing them for who they really are, okay? So you might feel also like you have a lot of choices or options and you're not sure which of them to choose. Like maybe there are a couple different people who are sort of sticking out or standing out to you. That is another possibility here with the 7 of Cups. It also suggests sevens for me are about transitions, gaining experience, but also about challenges, right? That's an odd number. And so there could be an emotional challenge involved in this new relationship. 6 Swords can represent a harmony of mind. They can also represent um, adapting yourself to a particular circumstance or situation, like finding a way to move on or move through or move forward in a tough situation. We'll have to see what the other cards say to give us some more context for that. Okay, here's a court card. So, all right, well, it's the Page of Coins. And so I think it's likely that this is representing a person. It can also, pages can be messages about their particular suit. So it could be a message like about money or well being. But given the context of the question about what is your next romantic relationship going to be like, it's probably going to be with someone like the Page of Coins. So let's talk about this person. The Page of Coins, first of all, they're a page, right? So they're someone who's inexperienced, probably young, or if not actually young, then there is something youngish or maybe kind of inexperienced, naive, unsure, hesitating in their personality or in their current circumstances, whatever those might be. There's someone who's like at the beginning of a journey. And because it's a Page of Coins, it makes me think of someone who's at the beginning of a practical kind of journey that involves material concerns, work life, money, home life, accomplishing practical kinds of tasks, right? The page can be very focused. If you look, their gaze is directed exactly at this coin that they're holding up high in their hands, and they are looking very intently at it. So the page has an enthusiasm that some other court cards maybe don't always have, right? Although the knights probably have it too. But the kings and the queens, sometimes their enthusiasm has waned a bit. But the pages are starting something new, and that can be very exciting and attractive. And so that's one thing to consider about this person. Now, the Page of Cups, I would also see as someone who may be in a position where they're like juggling a lot of things. They're trying things out, trying to figure out what is going to work for them, and they're making an effort to um, grow because they need to grow. They have a lot of growth still to do, and a lot that they still need to learn about life or their current situation. So this is the kind of person that I would see probably coming up for you. Um, I am still wondering what these six swords are doing here in the center of our spread, especially given, of course, that they're sitting on top of the devil. And so I'm going to pull more cards out before I try to answer that because there's a lot of ways it could go. And so I want to nail down some other stuff. All right, well, we've got 9 swords up here between the 7 cups and the 6 swords. So it is nice to see the swords seem to be declining. From 9, we're going down to 6. This could refer then to a lessening of anxiety or a troubled mind, right? The 9 of swords, it can represent trouble sleeping, um, having bad nights, right? Or just it's like something is on your mind. It's causing you some trepidation. You can't stop thinking about it. Maybe it's this person. Maybe there's a person who's on your mind and like you're trying to fall asleep at night and you can't stop thinking about them. That is a possibility. But the movement then down to the 6 would make me think that is lessening, that is going away. And maybe it's because you're getting closer to this person. There's plenty of reason for hope. We've got our first major arcana, besides, of course, the devil that you chose. And we've got the star here, the star card. And so the star is about optimism, hope, and being able to find your way, finding a direction forward. So, like, you're in the dark, right? The figure's in the dark, it's night, and they're able to see a way forward with this star in the sky. It's like the North Star, it guides them. So, maybe you're feeling guided by this person. There's someone out there who, like, is a light in the darkness, is a light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak. And um, they are helping you to lessen some of the swords in your mind. There's a sense with this person of a calming of conflict, a harmony of mind that comes after anxiety. And I think that that's really beautiful and something to embrace. I would just caution you with the Seven of Cups that make sure that you're seeing things as they are, okay? Be careful of projecting a fantasy onto this person, all right? Or if, to some extent, I think that we all are projecting most of the time or even all of the time. And so I wouldn't just say stop because I kind of think it's just something that human beings do, right? But be aware that you are probably doing some of that and try to separate out what's really happening from what it is you're projecting, like what you want to happen because of your own psychology, okay? All right, between the Six of Swords and the Page of Coins, we have four batons. So there's something to celebrate here. There's a moment where passion has grown, has arisen, and reaches a state of stability where you can um, sort of take a little break, take a little rest, and celebrate something that has developed and that has grown up around you, or more likely between you, right? So that is very nice to see, especially approaching the end of the spread, and especially with some of these swords cards that might give us a little reason for trepidation. Okay, and we've got the Popess, also known as the High Priestess, in other decks. Here she is. She is sitting. She's got her feet on a pillow. She's comfortable. She's reading. She's bookish. She's intelligent. She has knowledge that other people don't have. Maybe a secret, or if not a secret, because I think of a secret as something that maybe you ought to tell people, but you're not, right? Um, it might just be secret knowledge that is nobody else's business, right? It's not necessarily a secret because she's not saying it, but there's something that she's aware of, something that she knows, some knowledge that maybe other people would like to be privy to, but she's in control of it. She gets to decide uh, what other people know and what they don't. That's what this veil behind her represents, right? The two pillars. This is the entrance to the Temple of Jerusalem, and the veil is hiding the secrets that lie within, right? So she gets to decide, and so she will keep things to herself when it's for her own good and when it benefits her. But she also is wise enough to know when it's time to open up and when it's time to speak and let things out. And so, this would be my advice to you with this card going into your next romantic relationship is think about when it's time to share something valuable, important, maybe kind of secretive, personal about yourself with this new person, the Page of Coins, and when to like keep your mouth shut, right? Like when they don't need to know that necessarily right away. Okay, you don't have to tell your entire life story on your first date, right? Like um, she knows when to speak and when it's okay to just sit with her knowledge. All right. Let's see what the last cards are. All right, we've got the Wheel of Fortune. Ooh, and the Knight of Batons. All right, let's see. Let me pull that down a little. And you know what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull this guy out and I'm going to throw him over here so that we can see that devil looking at us. All right. I hope these are still mostly all in the frame. So, Wheel of Fortune. Ups and downs, things happening that, for better or worse, you don't have any control over them. You don't get to control the Wheel of Fortune. Nobody does, right? It's fate. It's fortune. It's something happening that was probably always going to happen. That's like overdetermined, and regardless of the actions you took or the things you said or the things you thought or tried to do, this is what was going to happen. In a love reading, that can be very romantic, right? It's almost like maybe you were just destined to meet. Maybe you were always going to find each other. Um, the other card here is the Knight of Batons or Wands, right? And so this is about a passionate journey, and it's one that moves very fast. Okay. Um, I think of the major arcana cards as lessons that we have to learn. Okay, the Fool's Journey is a series of lessons. And the Wheel of Fortune, the lesson there is sometimes things just happen and you don't get a say in them, right? And seeing the Knight of Wands underneath this as a passionate journey makes me think that this next relationship of yours is probably going to be one that is exciting, stimulating, probably a lot of fun. Um, it's also one that, while passionate and fun, may not last a very, very long time. And obviously, everyone's circumstance is different, and there are lots of different people watching this video. So, what applies to one person's circumstance may not apply to others. But looking at the cards here, if it's someone who's kind of inexperienced and young, right, with this page of coins, and you chose the devil, so maybe what you're looking for is kind of a fling. You're looking for something that's fun and a good time and passionate and hot and exciting, but not necessarily something that's going to end up with a Ten of Cups situation or the world kind of situation where you're getting a completion of everything. That also paired with the Knight of Batons, there's hope here with the star and being guided towards someone. But if you see, like, the Knight of Batons is someone who is looking for a good time, right? Someone who's looking for a playmate, someone to have fun with. And there's someone who is more likely to start a new relationship than to, like maybe with the Knight of Pentacles or coins, someone who is going to put in the work every day, the effort every day to make that relationship last. Okay. And so that would be something to think about, right? This may not be a forever relationship. This might be a more short-term kind of thing. But it does seem like there's a lesson that you need to learn in all of this relationship. Like, it's supposed to happen. It's fated to happen. It's meant to happen. And that's what I would point out with that um, wheel of fortune here appearing at the top of the spread. All right, I'm going to leave it there. Please consider liking and subscribing if you got something out of this. I'd also love to hear in the comments, like, what resonated for you here. And I will leave it there. I will leave the reading there. Have a great day, and I will see you next time. Hello, group two, and welcome to your reading. You chose Strength from the Ethereal Visions Tarot Luna edition. I've got the whole deck here. I've shuffled the cards. Let's pull some and see what you can expect for your next romantic relationship. Because you chose Strength, I'm just going to put the card, I think it'll balance here. Not sure if you can see that at all. I can see it, so it's looking me right in the eye. So, if you chose the Strength card in thinking about your love life, I think of Strength as someone who is very powerful and also very gentle, compassionate. They have an inner strength, right? Someone who is able to tame their passions, their feelings, their emotions like they might tame a lion. So who has plenty of self-control, but who also is figuring out, learning how to let that lion inside of them out, that like true primal inside part of themselves that they keep hidden from people. You may be someone who's like figuring out when actually it's appropriate to let that lion loose, let your true self out, sort of take the mask off, so to speak. I also think of Strength as someone who is ready to take a risk, right? So on the one hand, very controlled, very much taming your passions, but on the other hand, learning when to let those passions loose, right? Loose them upon the world, so to speak. And that can be risky, right? And that can be about taking a risk. Strength is about not preventing yourself from getting hurt, but having the strength to do something even if it might get you hurt, because you know you're strong enough to withstand it, right? You know you're strong enough to recover. All right, these are shuffled. Let's cut them. Let's pull some out and see what's coming up for you in your love life, your romantic life. Will that stay? We'll do our best. Okay. We are starting with the Magician. So not only are you strong, you're powerful, right? The Magician is someone who knows how to manifest what they need to manifest in the world. They gather their resources, they get their tools ready, they've got them before them, and they've got the power, they've got the wisdom, they've got the cunning to make it happen, right? Now, they're also at the beginning of the major arcana. So, one of the lessons I think the Magician has to teach us is you can't see everything. The Magician can't see everything, right? She's got one hand over one of her eyes. Of course, the other one's closed, but you don't know everything right away. And while you have power, you're at the beginning of something, okay? So let's see what comes up in the middle. All right, don't panic. 9 swords. We had a 9 swords in the previous reading today, too. So 9 swords, I always think this is the card of anxiety. And so the answer to that is you have to have courage. The answer to anxiety is not to get rid of your anxiety. I think that anxiety is a kind of quintessential human emotion, and that all human beings have anxiety, and that if you try to get rid of your anxiety, you are only going to make it worse. That said, it can be overwhelming and keep us from doing things, keep us awake at night. But think about this is 9 of swords. We know that swords are associated with the intellect, with the mind. So to what extent is anxiety sort of all in your head, right? Or not all in your head. To what extent is some portion of it in your head? Because I think it's also very much embodied in the body as well. So, okay, we've got the Nine of Swords at the center of the spread. Let's see some more cards to get some more context for interpreting that card. Three Wands over here. So, Three Wands is about taking some action, growing passion, looking out ahead of you like you have started something, and you are looking or waiting to see, is it gonna come back? Like, is your ship gonna come in? You've started off on a path, and um, where's it? Is it going to pay off? Is there going to be a reason to celebrate because you've gotten what you wanted or not? And so, um, let's see. Let's pull more cards. Six Swords. This came up in the previous reading as well. In fact, these two cards were in the same position but swapped. Same positions but swapped. Sometimes that is meaningful. So, and these are different decks, right? So it's not a question of shuffling. Two totally separate decks uh, gave us these cards, but in transposed positions. So here we've got a Six of Swords and then moving into a Nine, as though the anxiety, the conflict is increasing a little bit rather than mellowing out. Now, the Six of Swords um, is about moving on. It can also refer to having maybe some emotional baggage. So if there in the past has been some conflict with someone, something that's happened, maybe in a similar relationship, and and you're carrying that with you, right? You're carrying these swords with you, even as you're in the boat trying to move on. That would be something to be aware of, right? Um, think about how you can use your strength, not to just forget about what's happened in the past, but be careful of allowing emotional baggage from the past to determine what is going to happen to you in the present, and of course the future. Underneath the Six of Swords, we have Seven Cups. Seven Cups also was in an earlier reading today in this position. Um, you know, sometimes when that happens, I wonder, are the cards saying something to me personally about my own life? Because they are giving me the same cards, though in slightly different positions. But enough about me. Seven of Cups is about having lots of options, lots of choices, but maybe not being sure about which of them is, or if any of them are good or the right choice for you to be making. It can also refer to having a kind of fantasy outlook that is not completely in alignment with the reality of the situation. And so I'm not sure how well you might be able to see on this card. There are these sort of billows, clouds of smoke that are popping up, and there's this sort of castle in the air in the background that's like a fantasy. It's not real. It's built from your feelings in your mind, and it's invented, right? And so, like, this big monster that's coming out of that, that's not real either, right? It's a fantasy. And it may have to do with a challenge, some conflict, some trouble you're having emotionally. And that, of course, makes me draw a connection to back to that Nine of Swords that we're getting here in the middle of the spread. Um, I'm just thinking about these figures. I think there's a lot of fantasy, smoke and mirrors happening because I'm looking at the way that the magician has this kind of bowl of incense, right? And then the clouds here on the Seven of Cups, and then the figures, there's clouds here too on the Nine of Swords. And these figures are drawn, they're sort of mocking or pointing or making fun of the main figure with her head in her hands, like they're not real, you know? And so this little group of four is kind of saying to me, it's time to move on from illusions that maybe things aren't as bad as they seem to be. You know, the magician is a card about power, but what do magicians do? Well, magicians also make tricks. They do tricks. They create illusions so that things appear one way when they're actually another way. They're actually not like that. And so I do wonder a little here if what you need to be strong about is to recognize the illusions that are present in your life and that might be guiding you in a certain way that maybe you don't want to be guided to. Um, but let's look at some more cards. So between the Nine of Swords and the Three of Wands, we've got the Ace of Cups. And so there's the new relationship, right? Ace of Cups. So this is the point where the relationship begins. So now I'm getting a better picture of, I think this new relationship with this Ace of Cups is there to nourish you, provide you something fulfilling that can help you move beyond what all four of these cards represent. That's what I see, right? There's a new beginning happening here, a new potential for a deeper level of feeling, a new depth of emotion, right? With a new relationship. That's the Ace of Cups. And Seven Pentacles. So, your Seven Cups in this position, I think, are turning into Seven Pentacles, right? So, Seven Cups, maybe some troubled emotion, some fantasy, some illusions, things that like are confusing because part of it's not real, or there's some uncertainty and lack of clarity around it becoming real, right? Pentacles are real. They're tangible, they're material, they're actual results as opposed to a fantasy, right? And so here we have you underneath the new relationship looking at actual, tangible actions, resources that exist, and that um, and that are all about your well-being. Okay, and I think that's great. Uh, this is about putting in effort, putting in work, and then looking to see how it pays off. Right? Four cups. So four cups at the top of the spread. So in the Four of Cups, we have a figure seated in this image with their eyes closed or mostly closed, um, meditating or thinking. Maybe they're bored. Maybe they're lost in thought. Maybe they're just tired, right? They've got these three cups in front of them, and floating up in the air is a fourth cup, but they're not like they're facing it, but they're not reaching out to it. If their eyes are closed, they're not even looking at it, even though just by opening their eyes, they would see that it's there. But it's sort of floating in the air before them. Um, and they're not grabbing it, right? But you know what? Ace of Cups comes next, so you do grab it. So this makes me think that your next relationship, there's someone like right in front of your face that you're not looking at. Someone right there floating, and if you would just open your eyes, you would see that they are there, but you're not seeing it. Maybe because you are distracted with all of these four cards, right? The anxiety, the illusions, the feeling like there's too many choices, that kind of stuff. I also noticed the way that the cup suit progresses in this spread 7, 4, 1, as though it's focusing down. 7 is too many choices. 4 is the right one is there in front of your face, but you're not doing anything about it. And then the ace is you did something about it. Now it is there in the palm of your hand. You've taken this new relationship and you have grasped it, attained it, right? And it's brand new. It's all potential. It's all possibility there uh, with the Ace of Cups. This is uncanny. If you watch the previous spread, we also had the Wheel of Fortune. There are a lot of repeated cards here, and I just have to say it again. This is not the same deck, so it has nothing to do with the shuffle. It's a totally different deck. But we had the Wheel of Fortune last time in this position, and now we've got it down here. And so I suppose I'm repeating myself a bit, but the Wheel of Fortune is a lesson, like all the major arcana, a lesson that we need to learn, and it's fate. This was bound to happen. This was going to happen. It was on the wheel. You just had to wait for the wheel to turn to this particular moment. So, um, I think that this next relationship for you is probably someone who you already know, maybe someone that you're kind of close to. It could even be in a friend group. I think of the Three of Cups as those three friends celebrating, like having a fun night out, or in, right? But like they've each got a glass of wine and they're having a great time. And so the fourth cup is like not so far from that friend group. So maybe it's an acquaintance, somebody that you already have met, somebody that you already know that's right there in front of you, and you just are waiting for the wheel to turn, for the right time to come to recognize that this is a new potential for you, for a new relationship that can turn some confusion that you've had in the past, some anxieties from the past, into something real, into Seven Pentacles that can pay off. And then to come back here to the Three of Wands, we've got growing passion, right? Wands as passion, as fire. And so, this is new. We're going from 1 to 3 with the Ace of Cups, the new relationship turning into some growing passion. What it's going to turn into in the long run, the spread isn't saying. We didn't ask that. We just sort of said, what's the context for your next new romantic relationship? So there's growth expected there, right? And it's going to have to do with desire and passion and action, heat, right? It's fire. And I think that it's a really nice change, a really nice progression. Reading left to right here from the cards, we're seeing more in the past to going forward. I think good things are on the horizon with this relationship. And I think that this relationship is one that is sort of meant to be. It was going to happen no matter what. And it is going to nourish you, metaphorically speaking, in a way that you probably are really ready for and really craving right now, given some of the cards on the left side of the spread. Okay, please consider liking and subscribing if you got something out of this reading, and let me know in the comments below what resonated for you in the cards today. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you in your next reading. Hello, Group 3, and welcome to your reading. You chose Temperance from the ancient Italian tarot. I've got the whole deck here. I've shuffled it quite well, and we're just going to put the angel right up there. I can see it just fine. I'm not totally sure if the angle's okay for you, but that's okay. What matters is you'll be able to see the new cards I'm laying out here flat, and I see the angel of Temperance looking down. I think often, if any of you are from New York or have ever lived in New York, the Fountain of Bethesda in Central Park, I always think of that when I see Temperance, the Temperance card. It's a beautiful angel fountain. All right, so what's next for you in your romantic life, in your love life, your next romantic relationship? That's the question we're going to address. And because you chose Temperance, it's number 14 in the Major Arcana. It's a lesson that we have to learn. And it comes right after number 13, which of course is death. So I think of Temperance as the patient, gentle healing that comes after a big change, a big transformation that's occurred in your life. And so, maybe you've gone through a breakup, or some other loss, something that's happened in your life, and you've been healing from it, or you're trying to heal from it. Something like that is going on. That's what I'm thinking of here. The other possibility is Temperance. Healing might be like looking back to fix something from the past. And so it's a possibility here that we're thinking about, oh, we've got a jumper. Boom, the star. We'll talk about that in a second. So, fixing like a relationship from the past. So maybe it's someone that you broke up with, maybe someone you split up with, and you're trying to think about, like, could I get back together with this person? Would this person want to get back together with me? And, just as I was saying that, the star jumps out, and the star is all about optimism and hope. So I'm thinking, like, yeah, that seems like a very much a possibility. It's a major arcana. It's another lesson we have to learn. The lesson here is sometimes it's okay to have hope. Sometimes it's okay to be optimistic. So I'm just going to stack the star right up here next to Temperance. They're very beautiful next to each other there. Let's cut these and lay some cards, throw them out. What falls down? And let's see what's next for you in your love life, your next romantic relationship. All right, let's see what we've got. 7 coins start us off today. 7 coins are about um, you've put in effort, you've put in work, you've done something, and you're waiting to see, is it going to pay off, right? Are there going to be fruits from your labor, so to speak? It's also about accepting something different or new that's coming into your ordinary life, right? The 6 is about expanding your material resources, your well-being, and the 7 is an odd extra element that pokes its way in. So maybe you've got a kind of harmony of life going on, but there's something else that is peeking its way in there and trying to get accepted into what you've already got going for yourself. And maybe it's something from the past, given the Temperance and Star cards we pulled. Maybe it's like an old love um, making their way back to you. All right, so the center of this spread, we've got the Fool. So the Fool's a kind of wild card. In the game of Tarocchi that tarot evolved from, my understanding is that the Fool sort of belonged and didn't belong. It's the 0. It could take on anything. It could be anything. And so there's a great amount of potential here, and I think about it as a fresh start, right? Especially if this is someone from your past who's coming back. It's like they're coming back and they're a wild card. Are they totally different? Have they changed? Do they only seem different, but actually underneath it all, they're the same as they were before? Are they beginning a new journey for themselves? Are you beginning a new journey, or is there something foolish that's happening here? Right, like that's the other side that we have to consider with the Fool is it foolish to try to look back and fix this relationship? Uh, I also think of, like being a fool for love. Sometimes you've got to do that, right? Like that is another lesson that we need to learn is like sometimes being kind of, uh, sometimes we won't learn the lesson we need to learn unless we just take the next step, even if there's a cliff in front of us, right? Maybe it's not a cliff, maybe it's just a little trek down, and maybe down there there's something really valuable that you need. And we've got the Hermit, so it's all majors. Gosh, so we've got a lot of majors. The Star jumped out at us. We've got the Fool in the middle, and then here we've got the Hermit at the end. So the Hermit, of course, is looking for something, searching for something. They're on a quest for something. They're shining their light in the darkness and trying to take one step at a time, one foot in front of the other. Um, they're also, hermits are alone. And so I don't want to rush into anything because we have six more cards to look at. But I wonder if by the end of this, there's still a feeling of needing to search for something. It's also possible with the Hermit that it's about a wise person, a counselor, a teacher, a wise friend, a therapist, right? And it's about seeking out that person's wise counsel in order to continue forward on your journey. And so, it's possible that we're talking here about a love interest who embodies those qualities of the Hermit, like just someone who's very wise and who can help to guide you on your path forward. Six wands between the Seven of Coins and the Fool. And so that is about a passionate victory. Six wands, it can be about collaborating with others too, like building something together. It can be about a public recognition of success, right? And so maybe there's a sense here of a relationship that is coming into being or coming back into being, and other people are seeing it happen and recognizing publicly, or today more likely like digitally on social media or something like that, that, oh, these two people have gotten back together and they seem pretty happy. Or if it's not getting back together, that they're just getting together and they're setting off on a journey together, even if maybe it looks a little bit like naive, right? Okay, we've got an ace, another new beginning card here. Ace of coins in this instance. So the ace of coins is about a sometimes a garden, not an actual garden necessarily, although it could be, but this is about like the garden of your home that provides everything you need, that makes you happy, gives you the resources you need to be comfortable and satisfied and happy. And seeing it here with the Fool immediately to its right, I can't help but think about the idea of stepping out of the garden, right? The Fool is walking away from the Ace of Coins. Like, take a risk a little bit, get out of your comfort zone. That's what I'm thinking. This may involve, this new relationship may involve getting out of your comfort zone a little bit. And that is how we grow, right? If you are always comfortable, you're probably not doing any growing, right? Growth requires a certain degree of discomfort, right? And so leaving your metaphorical garden, so to speak, where you've got all your needs met, all your resources and everything, you may need to step a bit outside of that. Another ace. Here's the new relationship, Ace of Cups. And if I'm not mistaken, the Ace of Cups was in this exact same position in the previous reading today. In a different deck, again, that's been happening a lot today. The same cards popping up in the same or similar positions from different decks, totally different decks. So we've got potential and newness in coins, right? In practical, in resources, in needs, in values, in your well-being, and setting off on a brand new journey where it's a wild card and we don't know what's going to happen, that has to do with emotional fulfillment, depth of feeling, feeling at home with someone, right? Starting a new relationship. And it's all potential, right? These three cards together, Ace, Fool, Ace, are just like it's all beginning, it's all potential, meaning it's open. It could go any number of different directions. It's not yet decided, it's not yet determined, it's open still. These are great to see when we've got a question about what is next in your love life, what is coming up. Oh, and we've got the Sun, another major. So the Sun is about warmth, happiness, going outside, enjoying yourself. And of course, we've got a couple here, right? And sometimes, well, okay. When I see the Lovers card, I think more about lovers, right? Romantic relationship. With the Sun, I usually think more about friendship. It is a couple, it's two people. In some other decks, they're two children, right? Um, in this one, they're clearly adults. And given the context of the question, what I'm thinking is that this new relationship is likely to be one in which you're actually both really good friends. Okay. Um, um, Not just friends, but there's a great sense of friendship between the two of you here. And, another possible reading that may apply to some of you. So let me just put it out there. And if it isn't for you, then you just ignore it, right? Given these cards, right? Temperance and the Star, you chose Temperance, and I thought, one meaning there is it's about fixing an old relationship. And the Star is about having hope and optimism. Seeing these cards that have come up, and then particularly these last two majors, the Sun and the Hermit, do make me think of the idea that what you'll really end up like is two very good friends, not necessarily in a romantic relationship, right? And I say that um, because I do often associate friendship with the Sun card, and friendship is good to have in a romantic relationship too, right? Um, you want to be friends with your partner, I hope. But then seeing that next to the Hermit, and the Hermit generally being thought of as a solitary figure, does make me think you might, rather than rekindling a romantic relationship, what you might do is rekindle a good friendship with this person, which does mean you might still be searching um, for a partner, right, for like a romantic partner by the time all of this is through. So maybe that applies to your situation, maybe it doesn't. Up here, we've got the moon above the Fool. And so that does indicate some possible confusion, maybe some fear, being unsure about what exactly is going on, feeling like you're experiencing a lot of really strong emotions, and maybe the path before you is uncertain, almost like you're living in an alternate reality or a different world. Think about what the world is like if you go out, at midnight and it's a full moon. Everything looks different. Everything's silvery, and um, it's not at all like it is when the sun has come out, right? And so seeing the sun and the moon here does make me think that, like, first the moon is out, there's confusion, uncertainty, but the sun is going to come out at some point, right, with this new relationship. And so things will be illuminated. So don't freak out if there's a lot of these moon like feelings of confusion, certainty, a hidden world being pulled towards something and you don't understand why. Give it time because the sun comes out next. All right, and then finally, we've got the King of Wands here down at the base of the spread. And so I think that this card likely represents your person, whoever they might be. As you know, if you've been watching the channel, I read the court cards with no recourse to gender. So this could be a person of any gender. It's not necessarily a man. It is someone who's probably pretty well established for themselves, right? Someone who's mature, right? Either meaning in age, actually like, a an established adult person, right? Not like a young adult, probably someone who's at least 30, I would think. Or it's someone who's just mentally, right? Like emotionally, socially mature, right? They're established. They probably have a career of some kind, or if not a career, they've got something that they're very passionate about and that they've put a whole lot of time and effort and energy into. It makes them excited, it stimulates them. And it's possible, though not certain, that they're able to turn all of that into a way to like make money and get the things that they need to live in life. So they're somebody who has a certain degree of power, right? They're often in leadership roles. King of Wands people are often in some kind of leadership role. So, like, they're in a position where they can tell other people, like, what to do, right? Like, delegate things to other people. And so, I suspect that this person, or this card rather, is describing who your person is. If you're trying to figure out who that person might be in your life. And so I think one of two things here. Either if this is a past relationship that you're trying to rekindle, it is possible that what is actually going to happen after some maybe confusion or uncertainty or feelings of foolishness is that you're going to end up being really good friends with this person, even though you're going to continue um, searching for your romantic partner, right? But another possible reading here uh, is that you find someone and start off your new relationship with them, and there's probably going to be some kinks along the way with the moon where you're not really understanding one another very well, but there's a certain degree of passion and a sense of potential, right, with this person that will develop into a good friendship, and maybe together the two of you can search for, like, go on a quest together, a metaphorical quest, right? Like If there's something you both have a passionate interest in that you could collaborate on or build something together, I'm thinking of the Six of Wands here, then the Hermit would make me think that you're setting off on a quest towards finding the next thing for that, whatever your mutual interest or passion might be. Okay, I will stop the reading there. Please consider liking and subscribing, and let me know in the comments what struck a chord with you with all of these cards. And I will leave it there. Thank you so much. Have a great day, and I will see you in your next reading.